Hi, John Dwyer here, and I'm here on behalf of the Ultimate Marketing System Wow Manifesto Client Attraction Program, as if you need to be told that, because this is Module 10, and I suspect you know what this is all about by now. This particular module, though, I think you're going to find interesting. It is all about building repetitive trade. Who doesn't want to do that? Because it's one thing to, well, I'll bring up the first point here. It's one thing to score a new customer, but it's another thing entirely to get them to come back and back and back. And if you're like me, you just don't want a customer who buys once off you. You want a customer who becomes a loyal client who buys regularly off you. That's just the way it is. Do you think Kellogg's really want you to buy the one packet of cornflakes? No, I think they want you to buy cornflakes for the rest of your life. And Coca-Cola, the same, and I can go on and on. You know what I'm talking about. Now, the thing is with repetitive trade, the first port of call is collecting data. So if you want customers to come back on a regular basis, you can, pick your finger and put it in the air and just hope and pray that they will come back. Or you can actually give yourself a decisive advantage over your competitors in terms of influencing them to come back by collecting data in the first place. In other words, you get their name, you get their email address, and most importantly, you get their cell number, their mobile number. And then, of course, you encourage them to come back via offers that I'll showcase to you in just a moment. Now, McDonald's, as I've said before, are a pretty handy marketer. I mean, if you asked most people, what did you think about McDonald's as a marketer, they'd probably say they're very good. But guess what? In Australia, there will be 1.7 million people today, estimated, go through McDonald's to buy something, and McDonald's don't have one name or contact detail of any of those people. In America, that probably could be 20, 30 million people going through McDonald's today, and they don't have any contact details either. This is crazy, madness. I've often said that if I was running KFC or McDonald's or any one of these big companies, and I'd call the marketing manager in and either dismiss them on the spot or say to them, why aren't you collecting data? Pretty easy. I mean, when they get to the counter of McDonald's, all you need to do is on that menu board, give them the chance to win a prize, whether it's a holiday or whether it's $100,000 or whatever it might be, and get them to text their details to a particular number. Or when they give you the receipt where you're waiting, for your hamburger to be supposedly freshly cooked, it might have your name and address details on there for those who are more old-fashioned, and just fill that in and put it in the entry box. The fact of the matter is they don't even try. They don't even try collecting data. So this is a real big one. If you're going to stimulate repetitive trade for your business, you can either just, hope you build up a brand persona like McDonald's or KFC or, Coca-Cola or Kmart or any of those companies have done, and then just hope that people vote with their feet and come back in and come back in and come back in. Or you could fast track that retention, that stickiness, by simply collecting data and then using very clever marketing techniques to encourage them to come back and back and back. So let me give you another point. Lobster Cave Restaurant. I've given you this case study in a previous module, so I won't spend a lot of time on it, but this particular guy, his name was Bill Ferg, or his name is Bill Ferg. He became a member of my private coaching program a couple of years back, and he has an upmarket restaurant in Melbourne, Australia. Very upmarket suburbs, so most of the homes around his restaurant are $2 or $3 or $4 million homes. It's on a beautiful area of Melbourne called Beaumaris. And he said to me, look, we fill the restaurant easily on a Friday and Saturday night, but the weeknights, not so easy. And I said to him, well, how many seats have you got? I think it was a 130-seat restaurant. And so therefore I said, well, what are you spending on advertising at the moment? And he showed me, it was about $500,000 a year he was spending on, radio and newspaper advertising. I said, well, let's stop that. And he went, excuse me, you're supposed to be the marketing guru. You want me to stop that advertising? I said, well, yes. And there's more reasons than I've got time to tell you here, but really it wasn't working for him anyway, okay? And I said, why don't we just give 50 cents to your wait staff for every name and contact details that they collect? He went, go on. I said, well, the fact is you build a database and then milk the database. So we incentivized the waiters and waitresses with 50 cents for every name and contact details they got. So what happens if it was a table of 8 people having dinner and one person was paying the check? It didn't matter who was paying the check. They would put an entry form about the size of maybe an ace of diamonds, okay, like a playing card deck. They put an entry form in front of all 8 people, and that entry form would say, how would you like to win a dinner for 10? 9 of your friends and yourself, just fill in your contact details. And about 95% of people always fill it in. Now today he has a database of 30,000 plus, but immediately he started to collect that data, what could happen is this. I said to him, use the telephone as your major communications tool. And so what would happen, and I was there live to see this. He's a bit of a character, this guy, so I guess he's a little bit like Crocodile Dundee, Paul Hogan. He's a real blokey bloke. So his office is on top of the restaurant, and I'm there having a meeting with him one day, and he said to me, JD, let me tell you how good this idea is that you gave me. And he screams out to his long-suffering secretary, Cheryl, who's in an office next door, Cheryl! And she comes in and goes, yes, Bill, tell me how many of our 130 seats have got booked tonight? And she looks at a little tablet and she says, 62. He goes, gosh, well, we've got about another 60 seats that we've got to fill, or 70 seats we've got to fill. And she goes, yep. He says, send out one of JD's text messages. And I had put together a template of 5 or 6 text messages. And so she sends out a text message to not the whole 30,000 database, you wouldn't do that, but just to 400 or 500 to start with. And it's 3 o'clock in the afternoon. He's only half full for that night, and it's a Tuesday. And she sends out the text message which says something like, hi, blah, blah. Chef Pierre from the Lobster Cave would like to invite you to come and dine with us tonight and enjoy a lobster tail meal for 2 for $68. And guess what? She walks in 10 minutes later to his office and says, Bill, we're all booked out. 10 minutes. He didn't have to wait and put ads on the side of buses for like 10 years, or the back of taxis, or billboards, or building his brand. Remember, I've told you that what my mantra is all about is flipping that model about getting them to love or fall in love with your brand so that they will taste your product. This is a classic flip. This is getting them to taste your product at $68 to fall in love with your brand. Now, let me say this to you. This is a very expensive restaurant, and so therefore, when they come in for their $68 meal for 2, nobody leaves before they spend an average of $204. We're talking like a bottle of water is $50. I'm joking, but you know what I mean. He's very, very good, and his staff are very good on the upsell. So they're going to make sure you have an appetizer, they're going to make sure you have dessert, they're going to make sure that you have good wine, they've got a wonderful wine selection. He's going to make sure you have expensive coffee at the end of the day and a port and so on and so forth. So basically the average couple will spend $204. Guess what? He's got you in for that special lobster tail meal for 2 offer for $68, but he's got you in because he's had your contact details. Now, whenever he wants to fill his restaurant at 3 o'clock that afternoon, that's all he does. He sends out one of my 5 templated text messages, because sometimes it might be the lobster tail meal, the next time it might be, it could be a barramundi, next time it could be, garlic prawns, it could be all sorts of things. But basically, when Cheryl, his PA, sends that text message out, within 10, 15 minutes, all 130 seats are booked. And if all 130 aren't booked, for some reason, I don't know, garlic prawns didn't work as well, and she sends 500 text messages out and she's still got 10 seats to fill, guess what? At 4 o'clock, she sends out another 100 or a couple of hundred text messages to fill the next 10. And if people come in and miss out, then they just rebook for tomorrow night. It is magic. He's the only restaurant that I know of in the world that's booked 364 nights a year. And if he was open Christmas Day evening, it'd be 365. Imagine if you had a cafe or a restaurant or any business, hotel, anything that was booked out 100% every single night of the year. Now that's what he has because of the formula that I gave him. And it's as simple as that. Had he not actually collected data, there's no way that he could be 100% full every night. Guess what? I saved him $500,000 on his traditional marketing through newspapers and radio stations and replaced it with this. Do you think I get a Christmas card from him every year? I do. Okay, so therefore it's really, really easy when you collect data. McDonald's Happy Meals continuity programs, that's all about repetitive trade. So if you're a father or mother or you're a grandparent, you know that when you get that Happy Meal toy, it's generally number 1 of a series of 4 or 6. When the Olympic Games are on and you go to McDonald's and you buy a certain package of their meal, you'll get an Olympic Games Coca-Cola glass, and there'll be a series of 6. One might be red, one might be yellow, one might be purple, and so forth. It's always a series of. I'm pretty familiar with series of things because in Australia, many years ago, I had the bubblegum football card business. And so there was a company in Australia called Scanlon's Bubblegum that had it for many years. I took over from them in the 90s, and we took the business up 6-fold from where it was before in terms of turnover, because we knew how to promote repetitive trade. We would hand out samples of the big football stars, bubblegum cards in the big Sunday newspapers. We'd give millions of them away. It's called sampling. It's called taste testing. And so therefore the newspaper would give me $500,000 worth of TV in Sydney and $500,000 worth of TV advertising elsewhere, and they'd say, buy the Sunday paper and you get 2 free football cards. You know, the bubblegum cards we're talking about. Like if you're watching this in America, you'd be very familiar with the basketball cards. So we gave away millions of those at $0.01 each. It would only cost me 20 or 30 grand to give away a few million of them. And guess what? The newspaper, of course, would advertise on their front cover that you're going to get these free, you know, front page, free football cards today. Guess what? The kids would race in, of course, because they've got the sample. It's like getting an ice cream sample and then wanting the rest of the ice cream. They would, you know, pester power mum and dad to take them to the drugstore, news agency, to get the $2 packets. And once they got the $2 packets, if you've grown up with basketball cards or football cards, you know what I'm talking about. Once the kids are hooked onto the collection program, they keep on buying and buying and buying and swapping their cards at school and all that sort of stuff. So I'm very familiar with repetitive trade. And if you get repetitive trade, I mean, to complete the whole set of my football cards, which might be 200 and something cards in the series, these children would need to spend quite a few $100s. And be fortuitously, you know, sort of swapping them at school with the ones that they needed. So that's all about the benefits that you get when you do build a repetitive trade formula. Think about a reward program for your products or services. Okay, and the one I gave you in one of our other modules, which is a really, really simple one, but it just explains the whole concept, is that if a hair salon was to put a 10% discount sign outside their door today, no one would come in. But if they said to you, look, Mrs. Smith, for every $50 you spend in my hair salon, we're going to give you a movie point. And when you save 6 movie points, which means 6 times $50, $300, we're going to give you 2 tickets to the movies. Do you think she's going to go to any other hairdressing salon throughout that period? If she gets, you know, hair done twice and it's $100 a time, and she's up to 4 points, because for every $50 you get a movie point. So she's spent $200, she's got 4 movie points, and she ain't going anywhere, because she only needs 6 movie points to get complimentary double pass to the movies. And, you know, give or take, movie tickets are $15, multiply that by 2, that means the double pass is $30. $30 as a percentage of the $300 that she spent is 10%. But as opposed to putting a sign outside a hairdressing salon saying 10% off, no one would come in. This thing, because it's points related, it's reward based, then you just watch the stickiness that this gives your customer base. Now, I'm just using hair salon because it was an easy one, but you can consider that in your business. All you need to do to stimulate repetitive trade is to determine that if you didn't have my mindset, if you didn't have the JD direct response wow factor mindset, and you were trying to attract customers, what would be the discount level that you'd be prepared to give? Would it be 5%? Would it be 10%? Would it be 20%? Whatever it is. And once you've decided that, then that's the budget you should use to actually provide them with a bonus. So just turn your discount that you would have given into a wow factor bonus, and you can build repetitive trade. So for example, let me say, okay, so let's just say if I'll come back to the lawnmower, I use that all the time, but let's just say I was a lawn mowing guy, okay? Or let's just say I'm a cleaner, I'm a house cleaner. And every time I come and clean your house, I charge $100. And so therefore I'd probably come, let's say once a week, okay? And so that means over a month I would get 4 times $100. Let's just say I said to you, look, if you buy 3 months worth of my cleaning up front, which I want, because there's been a few times that you've rung me up and said, oh look, you know, we just don't want anyone in the house today, I've got relatives coming over, or the kids are sick, and so therefore we'll book, you know, come next week. So that means I get 2 weeks in a row, but then I miss a week or 2, and then I come back. I don't want that. So therefore I would say to you, look, if you book me 3 months in advance, which is 3 times 4 weeks normally, so that's 12 weeks, that normally would be $1,200. I'll give that to you. I'll give you, if you buy a voucher of 3 months worth of my house cleaning, and I'll give that to you for $899 instead of $1,200. So basically you're getting 2 cleans for free. But I'm guaranteed that I'm basically getting 3 months worth of work out of you. Okay, so therefore basically what that's doing is stimulating repetitive trade through me providing you with 2 bonus cleans. Well, in that case, discount actually. Let me come back from that, because I probably wouldn't do it as a discount, because that's somewhat against my mantra, but you could do that, okay? It may well be that if you buy 12, you only pay for 10. So that's the way I'd probably word that, okay? So it's the same as a discount, but I'm actually giving you 2 free cleans as a bonus. So look, just think about how you can do it for your products or services. Database incentive like $1 million insured prizes. Let me just tell you quickly what that's about. You know what? Lloyd's of London, big insurance company, provides what's called contingency insurance for prize giveaways. So when you see on television Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, that prize is not given away by the TV network. That's given away by an insurance company. And the premium that that TV station or the company that produces the show pays for that $1 million is based on the difficulty of the questions. Simple as that. So if the TV station wants to give away more $1 million prizes, they will make the questions easier, and of course their insurance premium goes up. Now, I have a relationship with a broker that looks after all of these insured prize promotions, and you can get $1 million to give away as an incentive for about 16,000 Australian dollars. Okay, at this point of time, that might be, I don't know, 12,000 US, something like that. And you can get $500,000 for about 8,000 Australian dollars. You can get a $250,000 prize for around about $4,000 and so forth. I think you can get a $100,000 prize for about $2,000 and a bit. Now, you're sitting there thinking, hang on, what are you talking about? How it works is this, is that the premium that you pay for the insured prize is based on the probability of it going off. So let's just say, for argument's sake, you said that for every $100 that you spend with me, online or offline, I'm going to give you a ticket into a $500,000 draw. And that $500,000 draw insurance will be about $8,000 if there's a 1 in 250 probability. And how that works is that if you run the promotion for a month or 2 months and you say, look, for everybody that buys off me online, for every $100 you spend, I'll give you a ticket into our $500,000 draw. And at the end of that promotional period, the 2 months, you draw someone's name out electronically or manually, and that person is invited then to participate in the major draw. Guaranteed to win a prize, but participate in the major $500,000 draw. So in the old world, it can be done online as well, but in the old world, that person would come to your boardroom or to a function centre. There'd be 250 envelopes, 250 on a boardroom table or perhaps in a barrel. And that person goes eeny, meeny, miny, mo, picks one of those envelopes. And if they pick the one with the $500,000 cheque inside, they get the $500,000. There is a Lloyd's of London insurance scrutineer there who has actually put the big prize in one of those 250 envelopes, by the way. And if they choose one of the other 249 envelopes, they win a consolation prize which you come up with. Now, whether that's a free holiday to Hawaii or a year's worth of groceries from the supermarket chain or whatever it might be, you have to look after the consolation prize. But you get the benefit of having that Elvis found headline for a very modest investment in insurance premium. Now, the reason I'm bringing this up to you is because this is what I call an artificial wow factor that can help stimulate repetitive trade. Because if you think about it, if you were to, say to people, for every X dollars you spend with me, you get a ticket into this major prize draw, there's a pretty good chance they're going to remain sticky with you. And there's a pretty good chance then that that reward program is going to serve you very well. One last example before I go, and it was a car dealership, Toyota series of car dealerships in Australia, and we dropped out a brochure to homes surrounding each one of these car dealerships, and it was called a license to print money contest. We were giving away $1 million, or the chance to win $1 million, I should say. All you had to do, because we only wanted people to come into the car dealership who had a driver's license, you had to just simply come into the local Toyota dealership and present your driver's license, and if you did, then we gave you a free entry into the $1 million sweepstakes. However, if you took a test drive of one of our Toyota motor vehicles, you got 100 more entries. You got 100 more entries. So you've gone from 1 to 100. Guess what? 72% of people who came in with their license to get the free entry took a test drive. Why wouldn't you? You're going to get another 100 entries in the contest. It gives you a much better chance of, being in the major draw for the $1 million. And their sales just went whooshka through the roof. Really, really easy when you know how. Now, that's an offline way of doing it. There's plenty of online ways of doing it these days. If you want to, sort of hang around this environment, you're going to learn many, many, many more of those. That's about it. Look, I just wanted to highlight to you that, at the end of the day, one last thing. I just pressed my little clicker here to see if there was anything else left, and there was. Affinity relationships with non-competitive companies that have similar audiences. Example of that is the Greater Building Society was selling home loans. I'm looking after their marketing. They were a private coaching client, and there happens to be a health fund, a health fund called NIB Health Fund that basically had a similar sort of working class audience, but were not a competitive product. They weren't selling home loans, and the bank or the building society wasn't selling health insurance. So we just helped each other by giving access to each other's database. So therefore, twice or 3 times a year, we would let the health fund email or mail our database offering them, the health fund benefits and bonuses and all sorts of things. And they would do likewise with us, actually tapping into their database, offering them a home loan. And so therefore what you're doing there is tapping into a similar target audience, but with a non-competitive affinity partner. And it's called affinity relationships. And so that's something you might like to think about as well. Having a relationship with someone who is non-competitive in your area, but has a similar customer base. That's about it for repetitive trade. It's all about making sure that you don't just make one sale, that you have regular interaction through a reward program or some sort of benefit scheme. And as you can see, that can be done through a sweepstakes, or it can be done through just collecting points and getting a reward at the end of it. Now let me tease you for the next module, and this will be module 11 of our 12, and it is all about social media, but social media that actually acts as a lead generator for you. There is so much waste of time and effort and money out there in the marketplace of business owners spending gazillions on social media because they've been told to get their name out there. As I've said to you a number of times already in this program, it's not a matter of getting your name out there, unless you've got a gazillion-dollar budget, by the way, and you can afford to do that. But it's not a matter of you as a small to medium-sized owner or operator of a business to get your name out there. It's all about getting their name in here, okay? I think by now, going through the modules that you already have, this is very sensible marketing. This is common sense on steroids. This is about spending your money on marketing that has a measurable return instantly, not in a year or 2 or 5 years' time when you've built the brand. This is all about getting food on the table tomorrow. So therefore, I'm going to show you in this next module some myths about Facebook and Instagram advertising and all that sort of stuff, where they keep on telling you to post photographs of your products or services, or God forbid what you had for breakfast. Throw all that out. Okay, I'm going to show you how you can use Facebook and Instagram advertising in particular to get instant response, to actually make sales the next day. I'm going to show you case studies, and I'm going to show you how we've done it. Now, before I leave, again, the blueprint, which is the written, sort of blueprint that covers this subject that we've just talked about, repetitive trade, is available for you to download right now. So I urge you to download that and even print it out if it's easier for you to sort of, read it when it's printable. I know that most of us are like that. You need to print these things out. I think you're going to find a lot of benefit in doing that, because there's a whole bunch of more case studies in there about repetitive trade and loyalty and reward schemes. Look forward to seeing you on the next module.